Big boys back indeed. Kyle, what's the Folds of Honor event?
So Folds of Honor is a non-profit started by Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney. So Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney was a member of our military, also a PGA Tour professional. Started Folds of Honor. It's a national organization. They're actually based out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. But they have a Minnesota chapter, and they have their golf event out at Hazeltine today. So basically what Folds of Honor does is they're, honoring the legacy of men and women that have served our country, either allowing them to, go on and continue education, educating their kids of military men and women that we've lost, making sure that their kids are taken care of. But they do a lot of incredible work. I've gotten to know Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney. Perry Schmidt is the head of the Minnesota chapter here. He's become a good friend of mine. So back in town calling the Golden Gopher game on Saturday, and was able to stick around and be able to come out and support at Hazeltine today.
Folds of Honor, Nordo.
Love it.
Well done, big boy. Big boy's back.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's fantastic, man. I mean, with the Children's Hospital and just everything that you and your wife have done, you can take Big Boy out of the league and out of the state, but you're not going to take the giving out of Kyle Rudolph's heart. Likewise for Jordan, your wife. That just why is that so important to you? I mean, I'm not asking it like flippantly, like, hey, why? I'm just like, it's very important to you and has been for over a decade. Why?
Yeah, just because I've been very fortunate to have a lot of the blessings I have in my life, first and foremost, my family and healthy children. And, that was never more evident to me than the time we spent at the Children's Hospital, and something that I don't take for granted. The other part is just I'm fortunate to have a platform to make a difference. You can have the want to all you want, but ultimately, if you don't have the platform to be able to rally other people around you to get behind something, it's really difficult. And I feel like I'd be wasting that platform if I didn't use it. And, the final piece is, when today at this Folds of Honor event, when I get to know the people that it's important to, I want to support everybody else's causes as well. So here we are today out at Hazeltine for Folds of Honor. Then I'm sure I'll see you tonight at Manny's for our good old buddy Chad Greenway Celebrity Server event. So we're jamming the day here with two really important, really special, really meaningful events. And, that was kind of the third part of it for me is I always want to support everything that everybody else is doing as well, because we've had so much support in everything that we do.
Kyle Rudolph, 9 to noon. Cool weekend with Folds of Honor today, golfing at Hazeltine. Your Vikings beat your former team, the New York Giants, and you got to call the Gophers game at Huntington Bank Stadium. How did the call go, and what do you like about analyzing football on TV?
I think the call went okay. We might have to ask the audience here. I go with phone a friend, poll the audience, something like that. See what everybody thought. But in terms of the game, obviously, as a follower of the Gopher program, as a friend of PJ Fleck, when I studied the rosters and I studied the teams, I studied the situations. Throughout the course of the week, you have Rhode Island coming off of a huge win in 2 minutes at the end of the game against Holy Cross, and you have the Gophers going down the field in 2 minutes, ultimately setting up a game-winning field goal and not being able to come through and win that game. So, I mean, I can say this now because we're on the other side of the broadcast. I fully anticipated Minnesota coming in focused. At times, we saw it with my Irish. You can overlook an inferior opponent when you come off of a tough game the week before, whether it's a big win or a loss. But I just assumed in listening to all of the players talk, Max Brosmer, all these guys, Maverick, Baranowski, like they were just really locked in. They knew how important the game was on Saturday. And ultimately they all kind of settled in, and, that's how you got a 41-0 blowout which is what you expect from a Big Ten team playing against an FCS team. You know, if they go out there, they handle their business. That's the way things were supposed to play out. So, as a broadcaster, as an analyst, you really, for me, I hope for one thing. I want the guys, the players, to just go play well. I love talking about good football. I love highlighting great players and great plays and situational awareness and things like that. It's really difficult as an analyst to most of their kids. And, when you look at the first quarter, if you would, there was 50 yards of offense from both teams, a little bit of sloppy play. That's not what we want to talk about. We want to talk about the last three quarters where, Heatherman's defense is flying around, intercepting balls and causing turnovers, and, Brosmer's going up and down the field, throwing the ball to like 11 different people. That's the stuff that I love talking about, love analyzing, and trying to really illustrate to fans how cool that kind of stuff is. With
Brosmer, Max Brosmer, second run for PJ's team, and PJ Fleck, by the way, joins 9 to noon each and every Monday at about 10:45, including today. Now, granted, against overmatched players, but the box score looks snazzy. What can you tell you like about him?
You know what, PA? Spending time with him, spending time with the staff and Coach PJ Fleck and Coach Harbaugh, and just listening to the way they talk about him and his ability to lead, his ability to relate. All of the best quarterbacks that I've played with have this innate ability to be able to connect with not just their tight end or their receivers or their running backs or their offensive line. They literally can connect with everyone on the roster. And your quarterback has to be that person, because your quarterback is always the leader, whether he wants to be or not. And, they say his superpower is his ability to lead and his ability to relate. And when you think about a guy who transfers in as a graduate transfer from an FCS school, to be able to have that ability is incredible. And then, you look at his skill set, and, again, I going into the game, I had an idea that they would try to execute the game plan the way they did. The days of Muhammad Ibrahim getting the ball 40 times that's not this Gopher offense. This Gopher offense has to throw the ball to run the ball. And they use the pass game and the quick pass game to essentially supplement the run game. And when you see him being as efficient as he was, the completion percentage being like up over 75%, it's exactly what they need from him to be successful on offense. And, whether it's getting the ball to Daniel Jackson, the receivers, or the tight ends, the backs, obviously Darius Taylor is a huge part of that in the run and pass game. So, for me, it was really cool to see. We heard so much about Max Brosmer through our study and our production meetings, and to see him go out and play the way he did on Saturday was pretty cool.
Kyle Rudolph, 9 to noon.
Big boy's back!
What's the coolest Big Ten game you're going to get to call this season?
Well, so, PA, I'm the ultimate reliever. I don't even have my schedule. They basically just call me and say, hey, can you call this game?
That's great.
For instance, you think about NBC and Peacock's schedule this weekend. They had the Thursday night game in Kansas City, the Friday game in Brazil. We had 4 games in college. You had the Gophers, the Irish, Colorado, Nebraska, and then Oregon, Boise at night. And then they had Sunday Night Football last night. So they had 7 games throughout the course of the weekend. Well, they had to call on the reliever to do the 11 a.m. Central game. Glad it was the Gophers. Awesome to be back here in Minnesota.
You're the best.
So I'm kind of just the utility guy.
Yeah.
I find out a couple weeks in advance, hey, we need you to call this game. Sign me up. I'm happy to do it. But it's fun, to be a guy from the Midwest that has followed Big Ten football throughout the course of my life. It's fun for me to be able to just get thrown in a booth, study two teams and go out there and call the game.
You're fantastic. And when I texted you Saturday after watching the first quarter and then heading to the facility to go to New Jersey, I mean, you sounded great. I think it was Brendan Burke who was your Vox man. You guys just really had a good thing together. All right, one or two more to close. NFL. They're just done with Daniel Jones out MetLife Way. I mean, they started booing late in the first quarter, and I know it's the New York market. You played with Daniel Jones. What does he need to do to become better?
He needs to be more confident. The Daniel Jones that I watched yesterday is not the Daniel Jones that I knew when I played with. You just think about, kind of his last year, the 5 or so games that he played, then he has the injury. For him, it's not an ability thing. I said it multiple times when I played with him. I've said it throughout the course of this offseason. He has, an elite skill set. He has all the physical abilities. It's 100% about being confident and going out there and playing. And, that's way easier said than done when you're playing in the New York market and you're struggling and you get booed at the end of the first quarter. But for me, when I watch him, it's 100% about confidence. And it's not as easy to just get that back. So, it's something that definitely be worth keeping an eye on in New York for the Giants.
Lastly, another former quarterback of yours, Kirk Cousins. He threw a couple of picks and had a yards per attempt yesterday of just 5.9 against the Steelers. Tough start for your former quarterback there, big boy.
Yeah, it is. I mean, but you've been around this business long enough. The Pittsburgh Steelers always have a tough defense. And, Mike Tomlin was here. We know how good he is as a defensive mind and as a leader. And, people think it's easy. Just get into a new locker room, get familiar with your guys. You had all OTAs and preseason. That first game, you get out there and the bullets are flying live for the first time. It takes a little bit to settle in. We know Kirk well enough. We watched him here. He's got all the ability, also coming off of an injury. Let's not make light of being 36 years old, coming off an Achilles injury. You strap it up and go live for the first time. I'm sure that played a big part of it, but, tough day for the former quarterbacks, but, me, I'm Skull Vikes all the way, and it was a great day for the Vikings yesterday. Fun to watch those guys fly around on defense. Harry's the ageless wonder, still creating turnovers. Offensively, you got to like what you saw out of the quarterback. You might as well incorporate my other former team in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Right.
And I think what they did last year with Baker, you bring in a guy that you really have nothing to lose on. And they have everything to prove and everything to earn. And you look how that situation played out for them in Tampa last year, making the playoffs, winning a playoff game, and then signing Baker to a 3-year contract. If you're a Vikings fan, yeah, we got our guy of the future in JJ, but hey, it would be awesome to have Sam come revive his career, get this team to the playoffs, and hey, he could be the guy for the next couple of years. So you got to like what you saw out of Sam yesterday. Happy for him, happy for this team. Let's call it what it is. We don't think the New York Giants are probably going to be there knocking on the door late in the year to make the playoffs, but in this game, it's not easy to win, and it's really not easy to win on the road, week 1, with so many unknowns. So great way to start the season for the Vikings. You, my friend, are terrific. Thank you very much for making time. Thank you for what you do with Folds of Honor, and we'll stay in touch, okay? Sounds good, PA. Look forward to seeing you tonight. Yep, see you, brother. That's Kyle Rudolph, former tight end for the Minnesota Vikings. He was the analyst for the Gophers game against Rhode Island. And PJ squad at 1-1 hooks Nevada at Huntington Bank Stadium. I think it's a 2:30 boom for Grimm, DT, and Gerdsey on KFAN. PJ Fleck joins about 30 minutes from now. And around the corner, Lavelle Neal III, columnist for the Star Tribune. He'll be joining 9 to noon per usual weekly.
We love the Vikings!
Back after this. shotgun. Aaron Jones to his left. Jefferson wide left. Now Jones heads out to the right. Fourth down. Pass to the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! Sam Darnold putting on a show. Just found Justin Jefferson, and the Minnesota Vikings lead 13-3. Lavelle E. Neal III is a columnist for the Star Tribune, and he's ballyhooed at Lavelle Neal via Twitter, and courtesy of Allery's. Lavelle joins 9 to noon, and here he is. What's going on at Allery's? Anything big at Allery's? Is that where you're watching the Bears games?
Well, Pierre, you can't go 23-0 unless you win all your preseason games and the first game of the regular season.
That's correct.
The Bears have knocked that off with a thrilling comeback victory despite being down 17-rip at halftime to defeat the Tennessee Titans. So it was a great atmosphere at Allery's. Had about let's see, the fire marshal says the most that they could have is 165 people. So they had 165 people.
Yeah.
I'm going to say for the record at Allery's, and it was a joyous atmosphere. PD's Barbecue is now running the kitchen. Has a fantastic order of rib tips. My sister had brisket. My brother had smoked turkey sandwich. It was delicious. It was a great time.
Are rib tips or can rib tips be burnt ends?
They have both on the menu.
Yeah.
I'm a rib tip guy because of my father. When I saw they were offering rib tips on the menu, I started thinking about my dad because that was one of his favorite things to eat growing up in Chicago. He'd run to the neighborhood barbecue place, and yes, there were neighborhood barbecue joints throughout the South Side of Chicago, and he would always come back with rib tips, and I learned to like them and love them. So when I saw that on the menu, I was like, I gotta have rib tips for my first meal because my old man, and that's what I did.
Tell us about your Bears. How'd they get the money? I didn't watch the game. They were losing a majority of the game as I was working the Vikings game, but then I jump on a bus after a game and I start getting caught up on scores and listening to Vikings Fan Line, and lo and behold, your baby squad won.
Well, I'm going to tell you this because I mentioned this on the FFF. That Bears quarterbacks in their first game have not done very well. Rex Grossman was the last Bears quarterback to win his debut game. From a betting standpoint, Bears' first overall draft picks who have been quarterbacks are 1-14 against the spread in their first game. Caleb Williams was a rookie. He was a rookie yesterday, Paul. Held on to the ball too long a couple times. Missed open guys a couple times, had a couple drops, too. Had some bad pressure on him, too. Our center sucks. We're going to have to figure this one out. He got whooped 3 or 4 times yesterday. So he had pressure up the gut that forced him to kind of go to plan B. That wasn't easy either. I've never seen a quarterback throw for 93 yards in a team victory. They won because of defense. They won because the special teams unit blocked the punt and returned for a touchdown. They won because other people came in and saved the day. So it's great. You move on, you move forward, you take the W. But there's work to be done here. The offense did not look great. They forgot DeAndre Swift a few times, I thought. It's satisfying when you win when you don't play as well as you think you're going to play. It's worse when you lose when you play well. So I just want to see the Bears move on from this. And hopefully Caleb realizes, dude, you're a rookie. You're seeing things for the first time. Just take the W and move forward.
Well, you're an elite football mind. Caleb Williams' yards per attempt was 3.2. I mean, that's low. That's like worse than Bryce Young. Yeah,
awful.
Well, what was the product of it? I mean, with Odunze, Kmet, Allen, and DJ Moore, plus Swift can catch. What do you just gut feeling, or maybe you've read some stuff? Was he shy to strike down the field, or is that what was given to him?
It was a combination of both. Like I said, he missed a couple plays down the field. He could have hit. He had a chance to hit Keenan Allen down the sideline. He was had his man beat for 5 yards, missed a throw long. He missed a couple throws long, now that I think about it. I mean, it was a combination of factors, man. There was some stuff presented him. We got mad because we saw a couple of wide receiver screens. And, anyone who's dealt with Luke Getsy, and his 25 wide receiver screens a game, that, drove us up the wall. But there were other times I think, this was the first time of him seeing the speed of the game on a regular season level. And I think he's got to make an adjustment to that. So we'll see. He still gets rid of the ball faster than Justin Fields. The funny part, I say that.
Right.
Justin Fields, I think, completed 14 of his first 19 passes for the Steelers yesterday. Once again, he's a rookie dog. You just got to watch it. You just got to see how he bounces back from this.
It's Lavelle. It's tough to celebrate, or virtually, at least for me, impossible to celebrate the Green Bay Packers being in last in the division. I mean, 3 of the 4 won. Green Bay lost, but it's tough to celebrate that when the quarterback gets hurt. It just seems uncouth.
Agreed. And you know what? I don't know if I'm being tormented by the fantasy football gods, but for the first time, I rarely do this. I've avoided drafting Packers players on my fantasies through the years. And this year, on one of my teams, I took Jordan Love and Christian Watson. Okay? And so I'm watching the game. I'm like, okay, this is all right. He's going to be fun this year. And then I see that last play when he's carried off the field. I'm going, oh, no. Feel bad for the guy. You never want to see someone go through that. And you definitely don't want to celebrate or revel in happiness when the quarterback is hobbled off the field. But this is a major development for the division. I'm sitting in Allery's, I'm watching football on Sunday, and I'm looking at my phone, and it said Sam Darnold has completed his first 12 passes. I'm like, what? So now I'm thinking, oh no, if this works out for the Vikings, this is going to be like the greatest comeback story ever. So division-wise, with Love going down and Darnold thriving in game one, the narrative that everybody entered the season with about this division is shifting.
After one game, Lavelle Neal III, columnist, Star Tribune, at Lavelle Neal via Twitter, and this is courtesy of Allery's. Baseball in a minute. Did you watch the Lions last night? And if so, what'd you think?
Did watch the Lions game. I thought it was a good game. I thought it was entertaining. I still think they're going to be a hell of a team this year. Stafford back at the crib. There's a lot of different storylines going on there, man. And I think Detroit before the end of the year is going to. They're just going to be a handful to deal with. It's going to be a handful to deal with. It's great to see how the fans have a winner there after so many years of being frustrated. Losers, bags over their heads. Megatron quitting in the prime of his career. It's entertaining watching that team is relevant in that town. I like Detroit. I like visiting that city. It has a bad reputation, I think. I've stayed there for covering Twins games against the Tigers. So my man David Montgomery, trying to be as effective as he can. I still kind of wish he was still with the Bears. It was just interesting, entertaining, fascinating. And once again, this division is going to be very, very entertaining, I think, for not just for fans of all these teams, but I think the entire NFL is looking at this division as being, this is going to be one of the more competitive divisions in the league.
Well, what also was interesting and fascinating, but for Twins fans, not entertaining, but definitely fascinating, with Rocco Baldelli following yesterday's loss to the Royals, paraphrasing, being like, this, he called it unprofessional. This was an unprofessional series. And it's my belief, that like a press conference or whatever he generally does, he either did it in truncated fashion or let's just get on to the next one.
Right.
What went so wrong this weekend? Like, what was so unprofessional?
The at-bats, the ability to generate run scoring opportunities and the inability to cash in on run scoring opportunities. I'm pretty sure that's what the crux of his frustration was.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad. They got to be. They're in arrears. And here's the weird thing, Paul. They're going to make the playoffs. The way the wild card situation is set up, the Twins are going to make the playoffs. They might not catch Cleveland, but I believe the only team that's able to catch them in the wild card race. I think they're still 4 games back. There's 3 weeks left in the season. 3.
Right.
Now unless the Twins totally go into the crapper and don't make the play, I can't see that happening. But Kansas City, they went to KC and got swept, and they should be pissed off. And Rockwell had every right to say what he had to say. They got to take better at bats, man. They got to be more competitive at bats. And the pitching's been fine. There was a game, I do question Rocco's decision to pull over after his great work on 85, 86 pitches. He should have gotten another inning. But Rocco is trying to manage like it's the playoffs already, making pitching changes early in games. Pitch hitting in the 5th inning when the other team brings in like a left-handed reliever after the right-hander started. He's already trying to manage like it's October, and the players have not stepped up to the plate in these situations. I also am going to get mad at the front office because once again, you reap what you sow. You did not add on to this team after last year's wonderful season and winning a series. You're going into battle with 3 rookies in the starting rotation. You're going into battle without a fortified bullpen, but I will give them half a break on that because we didn't know they were going to have the injuries that they had. But this is not a great ending to a season in which after April and the first six weeks of the season, they played some of the best baseball in the league, and now they're cratering at the wrong time of the year, man.
So now the LA Angels, the Los Angeles Angels are here tonight, and that's supposed to be an elixir. That's supposed to be the proverbial slump buster. Is it that easy?
Chicken soup for the soul, baseball-wise, right?
Yeah, supposedly.
Yeah, it should be. And they need to crush this week. They need to go out and lay waste to the Angels and move forward here, take advantage of these games. They got 4 games with Cleveland coming up. They got Baltimore at the end of the season. Here's my question, Paul, because I'm trying to figure this out. If in fact the Twins can just coast into the postseason because they're not good enough to win the division and there's no one good enough to chase them down for the wild card, do you wait until like the last few days of the regular season to put Correa and Buxton out there to get them some at bats for the postseason, or do you get to a point where there's 2 weeks left in the season, there's meaningful games to play, and you just wrap up, tape up, use gauze, whatever you can to say, look, guys, we got to bleep and make sure we make the playoffs, and we need you out there.
Right.
And whatever stage they're in, you put them out there and try to make the bad boy work out over the last couple weeks of the season. So I'm curious to see how the Twins deal with this. This Correa thing is incredibly baffling because it went from this injury is not as bad as the other one he had last year. He should be back in a couple weeks to he hasn't played since before the All-Star break. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? What the hell's going on here? He's had time to have surgery if he needed it, Yeah. So, and there's no, I text people with the club, hey, what's going on with Correa? No update. Like, what does that mean? No update. What the heck?
Right.
It's been since July. I don't even know what he looks like anymore.
Right.
Well, so, go ahead.
And Royce Lewis is back on the injured list, right?
Yes, with a adductor muscle. And that's a very interesting case because I had problems with the Twins on that one because all of a sudden in late August, early September, they're like, hey, Royce needs to play second. And Royce is like, wait, what? First of all, Royce is not a prima donna. He wants to help the team win, all right? But I've talked to him about this. And it reinforces stuff that goes on with players all the time. They have a comfort level. They don't want to suck somewhere. Marr was worried about moving the first break, so they didn't want to suck. they're asking Royce to do something he's never done. He did like 5 times in his minor league career. He doesn't want to suck. And so when he hit the 3-run homer on Sunday, I said, you guys are 1-0 when you play second. And he kind of gave me a look. And so after the game, after the session was over, I said, I'm sorry if I upset you. He said, no, you're right. You're right. I said, I get the sense that you rather would have an off season or a spring training to work out at second. And he said, absolutely. And he's not comfortable with the position. You got to get used to like where you position yourself for relays. The flip throws, because a lot of times, most guys are right-handed, so you get a ground ball and a chance for a double play. You do like kind of that sideways flip to set the short.
Yeah.
He's never done that, So it's little bits like that
wow.
that he's trying to get used to on the fly in the middle of the playoff hunt. And I just think the Twins are wrong for pushing this button this time. I know they want to keep Miranda's back in the lineup at third. There's also a belief out there that long-term, Brooks Lee has a stronger, more accurate arm, and that maybe he's better at third base and Royce should be playing second. Why in the bleep are you doing this in September? Why? I got problems with the timing of the decision. To me, this is an off-season or April-May thing. So, now on top of it, now he's banged up again. So, there's a bunch of L's hanging over the squad right now. A lot. So I'm going to the game on Tuesday, talk to some more people and try to feel the pulse of this team right now.
Lastly, 90 seconds, you get it all, wobble. Your book, The Franchise, Minnesota Twins. People can learn more about it via your Twitter feed at Lavelle Neal or by just going to Amazon. It's called The Franchise, Minnesota Twins, written by Lavelle E. Neal III. What would you like to share with the audience when it comes to like super early planning for maybe a Christmas gift?
Yeah, because that definitely works. And I've got some book signings coming up this Saturday at the Coration Hall in South St. Paul, thanks to Mayor Jimmy Francis of South St. Paul. Mm-hmm. I will be there at 10 o'clock to noon with books to sell and a story to tell. And I will talk about how I put the book together, the interviews I did, and the research I did, and just talk Twins baseball. So I got that coming up this Saturday. So and I'll be around. There's a couple other signings coming up too in the future that we haven't officially announced yet. But yeah, if people want to come out to the Coration Hall on Saturday, that will be fantastic. It's been a great experience. It dominated my year. I played golf once all last year because I was basically at the Minnesota Historical Center doing research. But it's great. And if you catch me on the street, and I have my car, I have books in the back of the car, and we could do it. We could do a street transaction. Nordal just pointed out when I was talking to him that he's got a buddy who saw me yesterday at the Boulevard Grill and Tavern watching football. Hey, can I buy a book? Sure. So I walked out in the parking lot, and I'm looking for my car. And I go, wait a minute, I forgot. We went to Allerdy's yesterday to watch the Bears game. My sister drove. My sister dropped me off at bar number 2 to watch the 3:00 games. And I forgot to sit in my car. I tried to go back in and said, man, I'm sorry. Damn. I don't have my car with me. So, most times if you see me, I'm going to be with my car. My sister, moved into town a month ago. She's a teacher in the Hopkins School District now. And, her ability to drive me now allows me to drink freely. So yes, I've been taking advantage of that. And obviously yesterday, it cost me. If
you ever become conventional, I don't think I will know who you are. So thank you for sharing that as honestly and bluntly as possible. Best of luck with the book, and I'll see you soon. Okay, Lavelle?
See you next week, my man.
Yep, for sure. Lavelle E. Neal III. He's a columnist for the Star Tribune. Yes, he's ballyhooed. At Lavelle Neal via Twitter, if you'd like to learn more about that book, The Franchise, Minnesota Twins. And we thank Galleries for 2024 sponsorship with Lavelle E. Neal III joining 9 to noon. PJ Fleck, coach of the Golden Gophers, is next. Man. Hey, PJ, it's Paul Allen. How have you been?
I'm doing a lead, PA. Thanks for having us on. Congratulations to the Vikes, man. That was great. Great win.
And likewise to you. And you guys beating Rhode Island the way you did. It's how are things going over there overall? I know it's constantly a grind, but you seem to find the positive in the grind, whether you're winning or losing. How are things going?
Yeah, I mean, they're going great. I mean, our guys, we got a really good football team, and I really love coaching these guys. Got a great staff. Coming off the week 1 heartbreaker and the last second field goal against North Carolina, 2 good teams going at it. I thought they used those 10 days of taking all the things maybe we didn't do well and using it as fertilizer to really make us play a lot better in even the second game. And as a coach, you're always wondering how your team's going to respond to that. Every team is completely different. Culturally, you have a standard, but does everybody meet that standard? And I thought they responded exactly the way they needed to. They worked hard all week. We worried about ourselves. We got better at the things we could control, and they went out there and played a pretty good game.
Your quarterback, Max Brosmer, 271-2. What positive steps did he take?
Well, I think that his efficiency was tremendous, and we had 3 drops, and he was 24-30 for 271 yards, 2 touchdowns. But it was just the efficiency of the throws, the accuracy, the poise, the delivery, the processing of information. He just got into a really good rhythm, and he would have been 27-30 with really 3 throwaways if we didn't have those 3 drops. So, and we're talking about a young man who's played a lot of football. He's really experienced. He's poised. And he's getting better by the day. And, we talked this year, we don't have necessarily a Mohamed Ibrahim type running back, but we've got really, really good ones. And Darius Taylor has different skill sets, and Marcus Major has different skill sets. And you might have to run it is what we call it, a little bit more. And you got to have a really efficient quarterback to do that. And I think the Vikings kind of put that on display a little bit yesterday as well. And had a really good performance. So we're just we're grateful to be 1-0 in the Rhode Island season, and we got a tough option style team in Nevada coming up here next weekend.
And throwing it to run it, you guys had 27 pass completions, which are the most since you got here in 2017. And that's actually something that I've been thinking about. I don't know if I've asked you or not over X amount of years, because the game of keep away and winning the time of possession, I mean, it's important for everybody, but you guys just have been really, really good at it. And it generally involves running at X amount per clip. But sooner or later, teams are going to do their very best to take that away. So throwing to run, with what I got to see of the game before traveling to New Jersey, a lot of quick game, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit. Yeah, it's a little quick game. I mean, it's true concepts. There are progressions with an option, pure progressions, middle triangles, middle reads, things like that. So you're going through all that. I mean, we still had the ball 40 minutes. And if you're good at it and you can execute throwing to run it at a very high level and you trust your players, then it can work. But that's why I talked about a few drops, because if you have some of those, that can really get you off rhythm and then get you behind the chains a little bit. In week 1, we were behind the chains a little too much. And I thought we were ahead of the chains in week 2 by doing a lot of the same things. So execution was way better in week 2 than it was week 1. But the time of possession was way better of what a kind of style of offense that we have. And our philosophical approach probably will never change. But you have to adapt how you get there based on the personnel that you have. And our guys do things very differently than we had last year and the year before that. And we're deeper. We have a lot of guys who can make a lot of plays and need to distribute the ball accordingly.
PJ, tell us about Coy Parrish. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here. This is a true freshman, correct? And he got his first interception.
Yeah, he's a true freshman from Esco, Minnesota. He was the MVP of the All-American game, heavily recruited, decided to stay home here with the Gophers. Came in June. This isn't somebody who started in January. It'd be scary to know where he'd be if he did start in January, but he came here in June, and to be on the field already making impacts on special teams, not only that, having his first career interception, this week. And, he had a big punt return for us this week. I mean, you're talking about a lot thrown at a young man, and, sometimes you got to spoon feed a lot of freshmen, and, we're shoveling them. Shovel feeding him right now. And, he can handle the bulldozer maybe. I mean, he can handle all of it. And I think that's what's really special about him. He's really confident in himself. And, he's going to be a big-time football player here at the University of Minnesota for a long time.
How generally speaking, as your run as a leader, a teacher, a coach, how difficult is it cracking the lineup as a true freshman? And what goes into determining if one goes to like redshirt status, which most do?
Well, I think redshirting is becoming harder and harder because you can play in 4 regular season games and still be redshirted in college football. You can also play an unlimited amount of postseason play and still be redshirted on top of those 4 games. So I think for us, we don't really make those decisions until mid-year of who's getting redshirted, who's not. We want guys to gain experience. Drake Lindsey is a freshman quarterback who came in at the end of the game, and he's a true freshman. Didn't play against North Carolina, played against Rhode Island. We'd love to redshirt him, but we'd also want to make sure that we get him the most experience as we possibly can so he's ready to go when he's ready to go. So I think there's this balance. The old days of saying, hey, we're going to redshirt this guy, those are over. I think you got to kind of go through and look at the depth that you have and make sure you have plenty of options towards the end of the year.
PJ Fleck, coach of the Golden Gophers football team, 1-1 into this Nevada game at Huntington Bank Stadium. It's a 2:30 boom, and he joins 9 to noon weekly as he has for several years, and we are very grateful for that. Thank you very much, PJ. Now with the Wolfpack, we got a first year coach here in Jeff Choate. The squad is 1-2. How do they want to play?
They want to ground and pound, but not only that, they run a ton of option, and then they're throwing for a lot of yards. So, not only are they're running for close to 200 yards per game, they're throwing it for 200 yards per game. You're talking about complete balance.
Wow.
And a lot of it's option football. Their quarterback is a quarterback we played against when we were at Colorado 3-4 years ago, and he's a way better quarterback than he was then, and he can really distribute the ball, whether it's in the run game. He's a big runner for them as well, but he also has a lot of receivers that have a ton of speed and length. They've got a 6-year player who's 6'6" on the outside, goes up and gets the football. They got a really good slot receiver, and then they've got another guy that's really solid. That's another 6-year player who's played a ton of football. So this is a very experienced football team who does a lot of things that make it very difficult to defend and have a lot of depth on defense.
That quarterback is Brendan Lewis, right?
It is, yes, sir.
Is he a bigger guy? Because I've just seen over the years, if you're going to run, the read option or try to run the single wing or the wildcat or the option, that if your quarterback is a little slight of frame, that's super risky. Is he capable of this over the long haul?
Well, yeah, he's 6'2", he's 210 pounds.
Wow.
He's really smart in the way he runs and how he takes on shots, how he gets down when he needs to get down. But when you're in option football, a lot of times, it's you in space, and he does a great job of making people miss.
Hey, Darius Taylor, you dusted him off, and he made his debut for 2024, 18-1-12-1. How did he come out of the game?
Oh, it came out great.
Good.
He's really healthy and feels good, and we were really glad to have him back. Anytime you get one of your best players back, that's a plus. But I thought he's going to continue to get better as the season goes on and the more experience he has, but had a great week.
Yeah, this group of backs that you have, and they're always important to you and they're always potent. Is your group overall versatile in that they all can also catch and pass protect?
Yeah, I think that's maybe one of the bigger differences on our offense in the backfield this year is that we have 4 or 5 guys that have all played a lot of football at the highest level. They all can pass pro. They can run the football. They're big, but they also can pass catch out of the backfield. And I think that's what makes us different than other years that we've had. It's just the versatility. And I've used that word since January with this team is that offense, defense, special teams. We have a lot of players who can play. We're versatile. We got a very challenging schedule. We're going to need that versatility and that depth, including this week. So, that's probably the biggest difference.
I'm a decade and a half older than you, so I don't know how this hit you here, PJ. But I called games for the Vikings that involved Nate Burleson, and I remember when he came out of Nevada. Well, now we have Nate Burleson the second. I know he either doesn't play or doesn't play much for Nevada, and you have Christian Driver, the son of Donald Driver. It kind of makes me feel old. What about you?
Oh, absolutely. I remember recruiting Christian Driver and having, Donald Driver sitting in my office. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, I went back to when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And and here he is for recruiting a kid. So I feel you on getting old, man. You just have great hair, and I don't. That. Like you have aged beautifully, and I have not.
You're very nice,
and I'm. So I
yes, you have. Yeah, you've aged great. Okay, I saw the video of you sprinting down the hallway into the locker room, and with that 41-inch vertical to go team surfing or crowd surfing. So yeah, I haven't felt my ribs in 30 years, and you could still probably run a 4.640. But we have a special guest here. Every Monday, Parker Fox, who plays for Ben's team, he stops by 9 to noon to chat about the world of sports. And Parker's here, and he informs me he wants to ask you a question.
Hey, PJ, Parker Fox here.
Right, Parker.
Yeah, good to hear from you. Good win. Really fun watching you guys, play that game. Obviously you talk about the receiving core. You spread it across the field with Elijah, with D-Jack, with Lemecki. I'm actually going to get on Lemecki today in the cafeteria for dropping that one, just so you know about that. But you obviously talk about the core you have now, but the core you had in the past with a guy like Tyler Johnson, watching him last night.
Wow.
Sunday Night Football. He had a tremendous games with the Rams. Obviously Puka Nacua went down, but he had 5 catches for 79 yards plus a big 60+ one. Talk about Tyler Johnson, what he means to your program and now to watch him, excel Sunday Night Football playing for the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, you talk about somebody who just continues to what we call row the boat and just continue to get after it. And it's hard to stay in the league. There's a reason the league averages 3 years and 3 games, and it's very difficult to stay in the league. And what he's done is continue to create value and worth in the way he plays, the way he prepares. He can do a lot of things. He can play inside, he can play outside, he can play big, he can play small. It's like having a 6'6", 6'7" guard that can handle the ball, go down in the post. He can do a lot of things, so he's really versatile, plus play special teams. So, it's not shocking that he's with, Sean McVay out there in L.A. doing a really good job. His wide receiver coach was actually my wide receiver coach. Talk about getting old, PA, Eric Yarber, when I played for the San Francisco 49ers.
Wow.
So you talk about this is all connected, and he's being coached at a really high level by a great guy and a great coach. But Tyler deserves a lot of credit for where he is because he's just worked so hard, and he always comes back to the University of Minnesota, which I appreciate so much, and always comes back to help his community. That's
terrific. Hey, do you have an 11 o'clock where, do you have to go right now? Because I want to ask you one more question.
No, you can go ahead, PA.
Ty,
looking at.
Well,
you can go ahead.
I appreciate you. Since Parker went down the road of former Fleckies, former players who played for the Golden Gophers when you were coaching, Tyler Nubin. I mean, I saw him yesterday in East Rutherford, and he took a couple of bad angles early. It's his first regular season game. Holy cow, he's going to be a good one for the New York Giants, man. You guys did wonderful work with him while you had him. I know you're a fan, right?
Oh, he's a tremendous, tremendous football player. And he's got a lot of Antoine Winfield Jr. in him. And the way I say that, Antoine obviously is the highest paid safety in the league, and rightfully so. But I'm talking about every time Antoine played football, he smiled. Like, he just loved being on the field. Tyler Nubin loves playing football.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I love about guys that have come through this program. And you watch him on Sundays. Boye Mafe has a big sack on Bo Nix, and kind of reminded me of the Outback Bowl when we played Auburn. Same type of sack with Boye being out in Seattle, and Rashad Bateman having a huge catch, in the Ravens game, and Daniel Falele starting at guard, and John Michael Schmidt starting at center. And I can go on about the guys that are in the league right now. But they all love playing the game. They're all smiling when they're playing the game, and nobody smiles more than that Tyler Nubin kid. He just loves playing the game, and that's what I mean about that similarity with him and Antoine Winfield Jr. And the sky's the limit for him, and he's going to have a great NFL career.
Well, I just lastly, I just sent you a picture of 2 from the field yesterday that also were in your stable, Blake Cashman and Carter Coughlin. And I got a picture with them on the field yesterday. I've gotten to know Bob Coughlin, Carter's father, through a Rise with the Guys at Grace Church quite well. And now Blake's part of the team after playing with the Jets and the Texans. Those guys have built wonderful careers. It must have been great having them here, right?
Well, it was. I mean, first of all, Blake Cashman's from Eden Prairie, and he was a walk-on here. We ended up giving him a scholarship a few years, or a year into him actually being here. That was very easy to do. I mean, you could tell what kind of player he was going to be. You talk about blue collar, crack on the shoulder, get after it type mentality, and that's all Blake Cashman. There's guys that are bigger, stronger, longer, faster, but all he does, that guy's going to play in the league forever, just because of how he works and the plays that he makes. Carter Coughlin, when we got here, we put him at R, and he kind of looks like a really thin, undersized D lineman, and all he does is continue to make the New York Giants every single year. I think we have 3 or 4 members of the New York Giants on that football team, 3 now. And it's so great to see these guys, especially with you, smiling. They're representing the University of Minnesota the way you want to be represented in a first-class fashion, our entire state. And the great thing is we're putting guys in the NFL at record rates, and it's really exciting to see them have success at their dream, because ultimately that's what a coach does. It helps a young person get to their dreams. And when they're living them, there's nothing more fulfilling than that.
Amen. That was beautiful. Wonderful, wonderful chat. Tear it up against Nevada, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Yeah, Parker, I appreciate it. PA, good to talk to you. Roll the boat, Sky Mug, Gophers, and Skull Vikes.
Yes, sir. PJ Fleck, weekly, 9 to noon. Well, you fancy yourself a college football interviewer, don't you there, Parker Fox?
You watch the game.
Walked right in, put that hand up, and just dunked on it.
You spent enough time watching. You might as well, add your little piece in there.
Right. Yeah, but I love the reality, the real nature of who was the receiver? Leckie
Brockington. Yeah.
Brockington, right.
Yeah, yes,
where
exactly.
it's like, I'm going to see Brockington in the cafeteria today and tease him about the drop.
I'm going to let him know. But that's a cool thing that's a cool thing about it too, is we sit here and we talk about it, but like, these are the guys I see every single day in the cafeteria. Like, I watch Max Brosmer go grab a salmon and put it on his plate, and I watch, whoever it may be go, eat their food in the cafeteria, and it's like, they love interacting with each other. We're human, and we're at the same level, and it's fun to interact with these guys, give them a little crap, give them, their compliment when they deserve it too. So yeah, it's a fun deal being a Gopher. Let's chat Sky Yuma football and NFL and Vikings plus much more with Parker Fox, who joins us in studio, the 651 Carpets Plus studios. He'll be here Mondays with us, and we do all that